Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. And apologies for my absence, but my hubby got a couple of extra days off work, so we spent time together. Now, last week, somebody asked a request, and honestly, I don't mind doing requests as long as it's not, go out and build the Golden Gate Bridge in 5 minutes. I could probably do it in 5 years, but don't go out and do it in 5 minutes. Then I'm quite happy to oblige, as long as it's, it's not a huge thing and it will fit into my camera. Well, this is what the lady asked for, and these are the Panalisa mixed frames, and she said, what ideas have you got for them? What can we do with them when we get them? So I've just tipped them all out here because you do get a huge amount of variety in the pack. And you get in little stitched ovals. I'm trying to fit them all in the frame here. You've got those really sweet little clouds. You've got the tags. You've got the banner pieces, or you've got sentiment pieces. Depends which way around you want to put them. And of course, you've got inner little mini stitch circles, which are really sweet. And you've got small squares, little portrait frames, creating bits of ephemera. You've got, circles, which I'll pop those down there. You've got this one, and this is the one here that you would kind of like pop out. Use it as a tiny sentiment banner if you want to, but popped onto those, and you've got a little sort of like prize-winning rosette. You've got a little set here that could be doorways in cards. They can be windows. Once again, they can be tags, and you can use a little hole punch to pop a hole into there. They can be turned around that way, and they can be banners again. Smaller versions where you can use your own twine and string a birthday banner across a card and just stamp the individual letters on each small piece. And she also asked about this one because she didn't know what these two pieces were for. Now, basically what you do when you first get your dies is you pop them apart, and I'm going to show that. And these two pieces here are for decorating the edges on these tags. So first of all, I'm going to hold my die and I'm just going to bend that away. It's not a great deal of effort and it takes it off. Now, obviously you've got to use each piece individually to cut an edge, so they need to be cut apart. So I'm just reaching across here. Then you've got to hope that the bits don't fly off, do you know what I mean? And hit your camera lens. So I just grip it and twist. That's all I do. And then you end up with that little piece of metal. My pliers are actually magnetic. They hang on to bits. And then store them in a little heap where you know where they are, so that they can go into the bin. Because you wouldn't want them, catching a cat's or a dog's paw. And I've got 3 dogs, and I certainly wouldn't want it to do that to mine. So those are those bits. And then people say, well, it's so tiny in between. How do I get to it? Well, if I can hold that there and you can see it, it's on my finger. Once again, what I do is, get it in there, grip and wiggle it. And once again, you can actually snap that off if you've got the strength to do it. But I prefer to bend and wiggle, so I'm just going to go from the back of that one. Did you hear that snip? There you go. And that snipped through really easily. Now I've got one of the edges nice and cleanly out there for trimming off an edge of a tag. I'm just going to pop that there. And then on this one, because I try really hard not to get, sort of bits and pieces flying off all over the place, I tend to grip and then twist. And then I've got that little piece again. So I'm just going to... my nails are starting to grow back. I do like to keep them short at this time of the year anyway, because my hands are always in the dirt. That doesn't sound good, does it? My hands are always in the dirt. Yeah, out in the garden. I've got my grapes coming up really lovely at the moment. Right, so there is the other piece to add a fancy little edge. Right, so I'm actually going to choose to do this set, and in there is another piece. And if you feel that you've got no sort of like movement in there, then go in again. Remember that you've got a cut edge, so you want to go clean up to that cut edge so that you've got a nice piece that cuts out. And then once you've done one, you can normally, you know, sort of like just bend that back on itself if you want to, and just remove that. Obviously you've got two little bits again, and they need to be trimmed out. So I'm doing that, and I've still got a piece stuck inside my pincers. I mean, it's great to have magnetic ones because they're, you know, your little bits don't go flying off all over the place. But then when you come to cut your next piece, you've got to make sure you've removed the other. And that's the little reinforcer. So I'm going to carry on cutting these apart. You've seen how I've done that bit. And then I'm going to trim off a tag with that bit. And then I think I'm going to turn this one into a cookie. So just to show you that, you know, it's a little round frame, but let's have a cookie instead. Right, I'll be back in a minute. So I went off and did a little bit of cutting, and I'm just going to put my little scruffy mat down there. And that's the tag that I used. You've got the little reinforcer there. You've got the piece that will cut a fishtail kind of chevron into your tag. You've got the little wavy bit, and then I use those two bits to do a cookie. So first up, put my stuff down. I've done a kind of wood grain one. Well, it is a wood grain one, using cardstock. I've used the chevron to cut in there. I mean, that one's really clear and easy to see. Let's get my mat over to here. I think I've got myself in the centre. And isn't that really sweet? That little reinforcer. And then if you look on the edge there, you can see where I've used this one. So you cut your tag and then you place this on, and it will give you that lovely wavy edge. So that's how that was done. But I've got to stick that reinforcer on because I just need to know what it's going to look like. So I'm going to turn that over. Hopefully my glue bottle isn't all blocked up. Yes, it is. So now I'm going to have to poke it. Does anybody else suffer from having to constantly poke their needle tip bottles? I do. Let's see if that got it, and if not, I'm going to have to go off and get a pin. Right, hang on a second, I'm just going to grab a pin. Right, so I think I cleared that, and let's try again. I'm just going to put a little dot on that seam. It's really cute and sweet. And then I'm just going to turn it over without trying to put glue all over my hands, and I'm going to line that up on that hole and then just fold it and see what we get. Go for that. Give it a squeeze. Now, obviously, with all small things, you've got to know where you're squishing. And as I can never see fully what's on the camera, it turns out to be quite fun for me. Right, there we go. So that's got its tiny little reinforcer. I put my finger there so you can see just how small that is. So that's the tag cut out, and then the little wavy edge on it. And then this is this one. I've just left that plain, but it's got its fishtail banner or chevron edge, whatever you would like to call that. And then I cut these out to make a cookie. I might grab some sequins actually. So my cardstock is just white, and then have I gone blurred? There we go. And then I've cut it out in sunny yellow. So when I pop that in there, it could be a daisy or even a poached egg. How's that? So I've got that one. Now it could be that I only need to colour this bit and just around the edge on that one. So I'm using a Touch New, and this one is, let's have a look, brown grey, and it's not going to show either. No, there we go. I think my camera must have some kind of weird center point, but it's number 104 and it's brown grey. So I'm just using, these are brush tip pens, and I'm just going to go around and around because I think this is what the colour of my cookie should be. And I have got some twinkly sparkly bits around here somewhere, because as I was saying when I started, that dies of this size and with all these great shapes are just great for making cute little embellishments and bits of ephemera. So, and of course I don't mind if my colour comes out streaky at all, because when you bake stuff it's not perfect, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of speckledy in its brown, golden brownness. So there. Right, that'll do for the top of my cookie. And then for the base of my cookie, I'm just not going to waste any ink. And all I'm going to do is go around the edge, just in case I'm left with any bits, you know, kind of on view. Because it would be a terrible waste to kind of like colour that whole thing and then just cover it up with everything else. Right, so we've got that. That's still a little bit damp, but we should be okay. And I'm just going to put a load of glue all over the back of this. You can see where all the alcohol ink has come through. So let's get this glued down and squished into place. And I always think if you're making a scallop edge kind of cookie, you're better off overlapping it slightly, so that instead of going perfect scallop to scallop, you're kind of like just slightly off, so that people can see that there is a little bit of dimension going on there. Can you see that? And we can slide that around. There. So that it's not perfect. Looks a little bit, you know, homemade. And you've put your top on and you've done your frosting. Right. So that is going to glue. And then we need to get my yellow centre in. So I'm obviously having a lemon cookie. A little bit of glue there. And now I'm going to line up my scallops and pop the centre of my cookie in. But that is not cookie enough for me. So what I need to do is use some of this, I think, and hopefully this isn't blocked up. You've seen this quite a few times. This is my jewellery glaze that I got from Walmart, and apparently Eileen's doesn't do this anymore. Either that or they've changed the name of the product, but I remember that this was extremely cheap. So I'm just going to get some twinkly stuff and I'll be right back. Right, so I went in search and I found some Darius glitter that I haven't used in years, so I think that's going to be a good one to use. And I'm also going to use my little rhombus sequins, which are these ones here, for my sprinkles, because I do like to use those. But getting back to this jewellery glaze, and hopefully it's going to squeeze out, because I want to make my lemony bit kind of, you know, like it's sticky jammy kind of lemony. So it needs to be a little bit shiny. I'm trying not to overdo it, because this stuff does take a while to dry. I must admit it does dry clearer than glossy accents, but it does take much longer to dry. So I've got a layer down there, and now I'm just going to take the lid off my glitter. Ooh, can you see in there? I think it's called Snow and Ice or something. No, it doesn't say, but it looks like powdered sugar. So I still want to be able to obviously see my yellow, but I want there to be some sugar on that. So it's like sweetened lemon. You see that? Oh, there we go. So then when it dries, it's going to have a little bit of shine, but it's going to have a little bit of sugar. I like that. And then for my sprinkles, I'm just going to go in and do dots of that. I mean, you could totally leave your cookie like that if you wanted to, but I just want to go over the top. Why not? So, oh, did I just get an air block? I mean, if something's going to happen to you, you know, it's always going to happen on camera. Just remember that. So hiding is useless. Right, so I'm going to put little dots, just random, so that I've got a pretty looking little cookie. And I don't want to over squeeze that, because you know what it's like. You squeeze your bottle and everything comes out all at once. And that is the last thing that I want to do. So I'm just going to test it off there. Put a little bit there. And where else am I? Let's go a little bit mad and put a few more dots down. So really what you're doing is really cute embellishment. I mean, this can just go onto, if you've got a large birthday sentiment, it can just go onto a birthday card really quickly with the word sweet or something. So I am now going to just grab a handful of these and dot them around. And hopefully the waste of these will just fall inside of that wet glue. I do tend to pick things up after and put them back into my tubes. But I just think that's quite pretty. Right, let's give that a shake. And a tap. It doesn't bother me that I've got a few in my sugary bit. I think that holding it there is the centre of my camera for some weird reason. Maybe I need to come up just a little bit higher. Isn't it odd? Ah, there we are. So it's a little bit off centre. It's got some sugar. I mean, you could always get a little bit of that glaze out and you could just brush it all over if you wanted to and just sugar the whole cookie. But that is just a couple of very small ideas for that rather large set from Panalisa. So you create a chevron, you can leave it plain, you can put your little edge there. You can do whatever you want to do. And with that cookie, if you wanted to like stamp a little happy face or anything on there, you can always use this one as well and cut into it and it'll look like a bite of the cookie has been taken. So that is what I have got for you today, and I hope that everybody has an absolutely awesome day. And I'm going to be up tomorrow, I think, with that that house page set from Panalisa, because I haven't had a chance to use that either. So once again, have an awesome day, and as usual, all links below. Bye.